A millionaire CEO buys all the chocolates from a kind mother. What happens next is amazing. Evelyn Harper stared at the empty shelves in her little chocolate shop, Evelyn's Sweet Treats. The scent of cocoa lingered in the air, mingling with her frustration. The shop had once been the heart of a quaint community, but now it felt more like a sinking ship. Bills piled up on her cluttered desk, their threatening edges sharp enough to cut through her will. Just then, the door swung open, and like a gust of wind, he walked in, David Kingston. He was everything she had heard and more, tall, strikingly handsome, with an air of authority that sent a thrill through the room. His suit was a sharp navy, tailored to perfection, and his smile could light up the dreariest of days. Evelyn knew he was a billionaire, the kind of man who could turn fortunes overnight. But today, something was different. She watched as he surveyed the chocolatey paradise she had created, eyes glimmering like melted chocolate. Then, as if reading her thoughts, he approached the counter and dropped a bombshell. "I'd like to buy all your chocolates." A million thoughts raced through her head. All? Every single piece? The whimsical truffles, delicate bonbons, and her special dark chocolate bars, gone in an instant. "Why?" she managed, her heart racing. It felt surreal, like stepping into a fairy tale, only to discover it was a mirage. He grinned, revealing a warmth that softened his boardroom demeanor. "I'm launching a new luxury brand. Thought your chocolates would add the right touch." But this wasn't just good news. It was a lifeline, a way to save her business. Yet, amidst the excitement, a nagging part of her remained skeptical. She leaned in, her chest tightening. "And why would someone like you care about my chocolates?" The smile faded for a moment, and his eyes clouded with something she couldn't decipher. Regret? Fear? "Let's just say I appreciate the value of family traditions," he replied, a hint of intensity creeping into his tone. Her heart raced at his words. They struck a chord. She held a family chocolate recipe, one that had been hidden away, a symbol of love and loss. Could sharing it change everything? But before they could dive deeper, her world tilted. A frantic call interrupted. Her son Jamie had gone missing. Her heart plummeted. Panic surged through her as she grabbed her coat. David's hand shot out, gripping her wrist gently. "I'll help you find him." In that moment, they were no longer worlds apart. Yes, he was a billionaire, and she was a struggling single mother, but fear twisted their lives together. As they raced into the unknown, the specter of coincidence hung heavy in the air. What secrets lay hidden in the shadows of this unexpected partnership? But as Evelyn's heart pounded with the fear of losing her son, she couldn't shake the thought of the mysterious bond forming between them. Would they face their demons together, or would the challenges rip them apart? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments which city are you watching from. I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Evelyn and David burst out of the chocolate shop, hearts racing, fear propelling them forward. Jamie had always been a cautious child, never straying too far from home. But now, with each step, dread latched onto her throat like a vice. Where could he be? She gasped, panic twisting in her stomach. David kept pace beside her, eyes darting as if plotting their route like a general in the field. "We should check the park first," he suggested, pulling out his phone. "I can call in some help. Maybe even have a team search the area." Her mind whirled. Help? Wasn't it just the two of them? "Why do you care so much?" she blurted, the urgency in her voice betraying her worry. "You barely know us." He glanced at her, an intensity in his gaze. "Maybe I want to know you. Maybe I've been where you are." But before she could press him further, her phone blared an incoming call, vibrating against her palm. She fished it out, hands trembling. It was Jamie's school. Evelyn's breath caught. "Hello." "Yes, this is Evelyn. My son is missing." Suddenly a voice pierced through the static, calm yet chilling. "Mrs. Harper, I understand you're looking for Jamie. Please meet me at the old warehouse on 5th. You'll want to come alone." Evelyn's heart dropped. "What? Who are you?" But the caller had already hung up, silence swallowing her. She felt David's hand on her arm. What happened? His face was a mix of concern and something darker, something she couldn't yet pinpoint. She was about to reply when a scream shattered the quiet. Emerging from a nearby alley, a small figure darted past them. Jamie, he was running, his face pale, mouth open in a silent wail. But behind him came a shadow, a tall man, hooded and menacing, edging closer. "Jamie," Evelyn cried, her voice shrill as fear clawed up her throat. In an instant, adrenaline kicked in. She bolted after her son, heart hammering against her ribcage. But just as she reached him, the man lunged, grabbing Jamie's shoulder. Evelyn's world fell apart. "No!" she screamed, lunging forward. But before she could reach them, David stepped in front of her, arms raised. "Stop!" he barked. The hooded man paused, surprise flickering in his eyes. "You can't protect him, Kingston," he growled, voice low and gravelly. Evelyn's pulse thundered. "You know him?" David's expression shifted. It hardened, something flickering beneath the surface. "Get away from him," he shouted. But there was an edge to his voice she had never heard before. The man grinned, revealing a flash of stark white teeth. "You really should pay better." Attention, Evelyn. Secrets have a way of unraveling. In that moment, a bombshell hit her. David knew this man. A chill raced down her spine. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Your son holds the key to a past neither of us can escape. And if you're not careful, Evelyn, he could pay the price." Time froze. Her heart stopped. The truth hung thickly in the air. "What do you mean?" she whispered, grappling with the staggering shift in reality. And then, as if answering, Jamie began to squirm free from the man's grip, eyes wide, confusion mixing with fear. "Mom, help!" But as Evelyn lunged towards her son, David's voice cut through the chaos again. "No, Evelyn, you don't understand. Everything spun. Secrets, lies. It was all crashing down. What past? What danger?" The questions hung heavily, and with dawning terror, she realized that the real battle was only just beginning. What had David gotten them into? What was lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly enchanted meeting? And before she could breathe, the shadows shifted and darkness swept over her. Where they go from here was a question that loomed like a thundercloud, pregnant with possibilities. Evelyn stood frozen, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Jamie screamed for her, and she felt like she was watching everything unfold from a distance. The hooded man tightened his grip on her son, eyes sharp, intent, hungry. "What do you mean he holds the key?" she demanded, heart racing. David's expression shifted to something fierce, protective. "Get away from him, now!" His voice thundered. But the man just chuckled darkly. "You think you can save him, Kingston? You know nothing." Evelyn's breath caught. David knew this man? Every instinct screamed to save Jamie. But a small voice whispered for her to stay calm. Questions raced through her mind like wild horses. "David, please, what's going on here?" The man turned to David, eyes narrowing. "Does she even know who she's up against?" "What are you talking about?" Evelyn felt the ground beneath her tremble, her vision narrowing on the two of them. Link could shatter her world into pieces. The hooded man leaned closer to Jamie, who was struggling now, confusion spilling into tears. "Let him go. I swear I'll make you pay," David growled, taking a step forward. "Pay? You don't even know the cost, do you?" The man's voice dripped with mockery. There was a moment, just a breath, when everything shifted. One word catapulted through the stillness. "Father." Evelyn felt her world tilt on its axis. "Father?" David's father? It boiled in the air, thick and choking. David opened his mouth, took a breath, but the words caught, like he was stumbling over the truth, as if it were a stone in his path. "Stop it," Evelyn shouted, panic sharpening as she realized the depth of the revelation. "David, is he—" "Stay back, Evelyn." David's command broke through the tension, but she couldn't shake the intensity growing between the men. Another piercing laugh from the hooded man. "You really think it's just about the chocolates? Your little business? Your son? It's so much bigger than you or him, Kingston. You've both walked into a trap." "What trap?" Evelyn's throat felt tight, fear creeping into her chest like ice. Glances buzzed among passing strangers. A couple paused, eyes wide, peering into the chaos. Whispers floated through the crowd, growing louder. "What's happening? Is that kid in danger?" Just then, Jamie broke free, slipping from the man's grip. He ran toward Evelyn, eyes filled with terror. But before she could wrap her arms around him, the hooded man lunged forward. "No!" she screamed, as David sprang into action, positioning himself between them. In that split second, the man's hood slipped back, revealing a face Evelyn knew all too well, a split image of David, with dark shadows of betrayal etched across his features. "David, your brother?" she whispered, panic clenching at her heart. Time suspended, and her mind fired with questions, each one sharper than the last. The tension unfolded, layers peeling back like a rotting fruit, revealing the foul core beneath. "What's happening?" she breathed, feeling the solid ground crumbling beneath her feet. "Don't listen to him," David yelled, voice booming but visibly shaken. "He's lying." But then Evelyn saw something in his eyes. Fear, anger, confusion. It all spiraled into chaos, questions blurring the edges of reality. In that heartbeat, she realized the truth had the power to absorb and annihilate everything she believed. But before she could form another word, thunder cracked through the air, and a sudden explosion shuddered the ground beneath them. Buildings shook, and glass shattered, causing the crowd to scream, scattering in panic. The world ignited into a mess of sights and sounds, and amidst the chaos, Evelyn grasped Jamie's hand tightly, but the question loomed larger than the smoke. Who was David really? What secret were they about to uncover amidst the ruins? Evelyn stood frozen, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Jamie screamed for her, and she felt like she was watching everything unfold from a distance. The hooded man tightened his grip on her son, eyes sharp, intent, hungry. "What do you mean he holds the key?" she demanded, heart racing. David's expression shifted to something fierce, protective. "Get away from him, now!" His voice thundered, but the man just chuckled darkly. "You think you can save him? Kingston? You know nothing." Evelyn's breath caught. David knew this man? Every instinct screamed to save Jamie, but a small voice whispered for her to stay calm. Questions raced through her mind like wild horses. "David, please, what's going on here?" The man turned to David, eyes narrowing. "Does she even know who she's up against? What are you talking about?" Evelyn felt the ground beneath her tremble, her vision narrowing on the two of them. A blink could shatter her world into pieces. The hooded man leaned closer to Jamie, who was struggling now, confusion spilling into tears. "Let him go. I swear I'll make you pay," David growled, taking a step forward. "Pay? You don't even know the cost, do you?" The man's voice dripped with mockery. There was a moment, just a breath, when everything shifted. One word catapulted through the stillness. "Father." Evelyn felt her world tilt on its axis. "Father? Father." It boiled in the air, thick and choking. David opened his mouth, took a breath, but the words caught, like he was stumbling over the truth as if it were a stone in his path. "Stop it," Evelyn shouted, panic sharpening as she realized the depth of the revelation. "David, is he—" "Stay back, Evelyn." David's command broke through the tension, but she couldn't shake the intensity growing between the men. Another piercing laugh from the hooded man. "You really think it's just about the chocolates? Your little business? Your son? It's so much bigger than you or him, Kingston. You've both walked into a trap. What trap? Evelyn's throat felt tight, fear creeping into her chest like ice. Glances buzzed among passing strangers. A couple paused, eyes wide, peering into the chaos. Whispers floated through the crowd, growing louder. What's happening? Is that kid in danger? Just then, Jamie broke free, slipping from the man's grip. He ran toward Evelyn, eyes filled with terror. But before she could wrap her arms around him, the hooded man lunged forward. No, she screamed, as David sprang into action, positioning himself between them. In that split second, the man's hood slipped back, revealing a face Evelyn knew all too well. A split image of David, with dark shadows of betrayal etched across his features. "David, your brother," she whispered, panic clenching at her heart. Time suspended, and her mind fired with questions, each one sharper than the last. The tension unfolded, layers peeling back like a rotting fruit, revealing the foul core beneath. "What's happening?" she breathed, feeling the solid ground crumbling beneath her feet. "Don't listen to him," David yelled, voice booming but visibly shaken. But then, Evelyn saw something in his eyes. Fear, anger, confusion. It all spiraled into chaos, questions blurring the edges of reality. In that heartbeat, she realized the truth had the power to absorb and annihilate everything she believed. But before she could form another word, thunder cracked through the air, and a sudden explosion shuddered the ground beneath them. Buildings shook and glass shattered, causing the crowd to scream, scattering in panic. The world ignited into a mess of sights and sounds. Suddenly David's face paled, mouth dropping open in horror as he looked back at the hooded man. "You promised this wouldn't escalate." The man smirked, unbothered by the chaos around them. "You think you can outrun your past, Kingston? You've been tangled in this since day one." Evelyn's heart plummeted. "What did you do?" She couldn't tear her eyes away from David. "Everything I had to do to survive," he replied, eyes darting to Jamie. "Get him out of here, Evelyn." But before she could react, a small, seemingly harmless device fell from the man's hand to the ground. A flash of light exploded, illuminating the darkness. Around them, the world spun wildly, and Evelyn felt a blinding pain in her head. As the light faded, she blinked rapidly. It wasn't just the shockwave that unsettled her. It was the sight before her. David was gone. The hooded man stood alone, laughing maniacally, a cruel echo riding the waves of rubble and panic. "Welcome to the game, Evelyn. This is just the beginning." And in that moment, the weight of the revelation crushed down on her. What game, what secrets had just unraveled? Where was David? Bewildered, she clutched Jamie to her side, eyes wide. Every fiber in her screamed for answers. Silently, she vowed she wouldn't lose anyone else. Not now. But as the sirens blared in the distance, a question raced through her mind. Who was the real enemy? Evelyn stood rooted to the spot, her heart racing. Jamie clung to her side, eyes wide with fear. The hooded man laughed, a dark sound that echoed through the chaos. It felt like the ground was shifting beneath her, and panic curled in her chest. "Where's David?" she whispered, dread creeping in. Suddenly, a voice rang through the air, loud, authoritative, cutting through the noise. "Put the boy down." Evelyn turned, breathless. A tall figure in tactical gear emerged from the crowd, flanked by several equally serious-looking agents. Her heart lifted for a fleeting moment. Help had arrived. The hooded man's laughter faded into a sneer. "You think you can meddle here? Let him go," the agent ordered, eyes locked on the man. It was the kind of voice that made you stand a little straighter, made you believe that everything would be okay. For a heartbeat, it felt like a lifeline. But the hooded man's gaze flicked back to David's brother, complete indifference flashing in his eyes. "You don't get it, do you? It's too late for him." Evelyn felt her breath hitch. "What do you mean?" Before he could respond, the man ripped something from his pocket and slammed it into the ground. A loud crack erupted, and smoke billowed around them, dark and suffocating. She covered Jamie's mouth, eyes wide. She couldn't let him see the chaos. as the smoke engulfed the square, bodies scattered in a frenzy. Evelyn pulled Jamie close, searching desperately for David's figure. "Where is he? David?" The chaos raged, but all she heard was her own heartbeat thudding in her ears. Then, through the haze, a sound ripped through, the unmistakable roar of an engine. She turned toward the noise, heart hammering as a sleek black SUV screeched to a halt. The side door swung open, and she could barely breathe as David leaped out, his expression wild, eyes scanning. "Evelyn, Jamie, David," she yelled, her voice cracking. He pushed through the haze, desperation etched on his face. She thought he was about to reach them, when suddenly the hooded man lunged toward David, grabbing him by the collar, holding a gun to his head. "No!" Evelyn screamed, her heart plummeting. "Stop! It's not what you think," David shouted, struggling against the grip. But then the man interrupted, a sinister smile curling his lips. "Oh, but it is. Isn't it, little brother?" Time froze again. Little brother. The revelation was like a punch to Evelyn's gut. David and this man were related? How could that be? It didn't make sense. Her mind raced, desperately trying to connect the dots. More agents burst through the smoke, their guns drawn, circling the scene. "Drop the weapon, now." The brother's smirk only broadened. "You're just playing." "Right into my hands, aren't you, David? I never thought you'd be so easily pulled back into the family game." Evelyn clutched Jamie, panic swirling. "David, what are we missing?" But David's eyes were dark, stricken. "It's not safe, Evelyn. He can't have you." Suddenly, the brother pulled David closer, the gun pressing harder against his temple. "You think I'm just going to walk away, sweet brother? No, I need it." In that instant, the SUV doors opened again. And from the back seat stepped a woman, tall, fierce, her hair whipping in the wind. She strutted forward, locking eyes with David's brother. Enough of this. Evelyn squinted through the chaos. Who was she? "Your game ends here," the woman declared, voice steady and confident. "You've made this personal, Riley." The hooded man's face shifted, panic flickering for just a moment. "You don't understand what you're doing." And then it hit like a thunderclap. The woman pulled out her own gun, aiming squarely at Riley. "You'll regret this mistake. Step down now." Shock coursed through the crowd. This was escalating, faster than she could comprehend. Who was she? A new player in this twisted game? Evelyn's mind raced. How did they all connect? Who could she trust? She was standing in the eye of a storm, the tension clenching tighter and tighter. And then it struck her, a blinding realization, a truth she'd never considered. "Jamie," she gasped at her son. What if? But Jamie was already trembling, caught up in the whirlwind of shouting voices and escalating chaos. Evelyn's heart stopped. No, not him. He can't be a part of this. The air thickened as shocking truths collided like thunder, each revelation more brutal than the last. What was the connection? What secrets were buried within this family? With danger closing in, she felt the walls closing around her. In this moment, everything she thought she knew shattered. Above the chaos, a new question loomed. Whose side was David really on? Evelyn's heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing the chaos around her. Jamie trembled beside her, eyes darting as they moved between the hooded man and the throng of agents. David was yelling, his voice slicing through the smokescreen, but all Evelyn could focus on was the gun pressed against her son's enemy, his brother. Riley, the hooded man, tightened his grip on David, still sneering. "Oh, David, you haven't learned a thing. This isn't about you or her. It never was." Evelyn felt her chest constrict. "What do you mean?" "Your lives, just puppets in a game." He flashed his brother a taunting grin. "And the strings are pulled by someone far above us." "Enough," the woman shouted, her gun unwavering. "Put your weapon down, Riley. We can end this now." But Riley laughed, hollow and menacing. Instead of backing down, he pulled David closer, appraising the scene like a chess master calculating his next move. "You think you hold the power? You don't even know what I want, what I've sacrificed to be here." Thick tension filled the air. Evelyn's instincts screamed for her to act. Suddenly, she noticed Jamie's face, pale, scared. "Listen to me, Jamie," she whispered urgently. "We need to get out of here." But just then, another unexpected sound cut through the chaos. A loud crack. Not from a gun, but from overhead. Evelyn jerked her gaze upward. The sky shuddered as dark clouds swirled, almost swirling in a pattern. The earth seemed to tremble beneath their feet. And then, the ground beneath Riley erupted with an explosion, sending debris flying. The crowd screamed and scattered like frightened birds. Evelyn instinctively shielded Jamie, yanking him down as dirt and pieces of concrete fell around them. Through the chaos, David's eyes widened, and in that moment, everything changed. When the dust began to clear, it revealed a figure rising from the rubble, crested with a familiar silhouette, tall, formidable, and commanding. Evelyn felt her breath catch. No, it couldn't be. But it was. David's father, the very man who had been thought dead all those years, grinned, his presence striking fear. "Hello, boys," he declared, voice booming. "I see you've been playing without me." Shock ricocheted through the crowd, a palpable wave of disbelief. Evelyn's heart sank. How could he be here? How could he have survived? The revelation churned in her stomach. David, Riley, and now their father. It was a tangled web, spinning tighter and tighter around her. "Dad?" David's voice broke. A mixture of rage and confusion etched on his face. "You're alive?" "Of course I am," their father laughed, the sound chilling. "You thought you could break free? You're still a part of the family business. Don't you see?" Riley's sneer faded to shock before morphing into fury. "You never told me." The dynamic shifted. Evelyn watched as the brothers turned on each other. Anger pulsed in the air, a sudden shift in the balance of power. The agents watched, guns still. Trained but uncertain. It was no longer just about saving Jamie. It was about buried skeletons clawing their way back to the surface. "Family business?" Evelyn murmured, realizing this was about more than just chocolates or danger. It was legacy, power plays, and now the future of her son. "What does that mean for us?" "Everything," Riley hissed. "You're a pawn in this game, just like the rest of us." Suddenly, the ground shook once more, and without warning, the earth split open between them, a fissure that looked deep and dark. Evelyn's heart raced. "Jamie," she yelled, yanking him back as chaos erupted once again. In a whirlwind of emotions, Evelyn felt the ice grip her heart. Who could she trust? Her instincts screamed to escape with Jamie, but the truth was swirling like a tornado. What kind of legacy had David's father left them in? As the chaos raged, Riley threw David against the ground, lunging for his father, but something dark seeped through the crack. A presence that didn't feel human. It was shadows and whispers, tangled in fury. "Run," David shouted. "We have to get out of here." Evelyn's mind raced, grappling with the layers of truth unfolding before her. What had this family been involved in? She felt the weight of destiny pressing down on her shoulders. And just as she grabbed Jamie's hand, the shadows surged from the crack, flowing like tide. "Watch out," she screamed, pushing Jamie away as darkness enveloped them, swallowing the chaos whole. In a matter of moments, the world distorted, and Evelyn felt herself being pulled into blackness. She turned, desperation clawing at her. Where was David? Would they survive this looming darkness together, or would secrets devour them whole? The darkness pulled at Evelyn, swirling around her like a heavy fog. She could barely breathe. Adrenaline coursed through her veins, her instincts screaming to protect Jamie. The chaos of the explosion faded into a deafening silence, a stillness that held a tension thick enough to choke on. "David," she gasped, feeling the icy grip of fear tighten around her throat. Where was he? Was he lost in the shadows? Suddenly, something shifted in the air. A spark of light flickered in the depths of the blackness. A low hum began to resonate, undulating through the heavy silence. It was familiar yet foreign, a buzzing energy that felt warm and alive. Evelyn felt drawn to it despite the danger, her heart pounding. Then, out of the murky depths, a figure emerged. She squinted, her heart racing as recognition flooded her. It was David. But he was different. His expression was focused, almost trance-like, and he moved with an unusual grace, gliding toward her as if the shadows had become a part of him. "Evelyn! Jamie!" His voice echoed, filled with urgency. But there was something behind his eyes, something unsettling. "I can explain, just trust me." The chaos around them was forgotten as she stepped forward, reaching out to him. "David, what's happening?" she called. "Where's your father? Where's Riley? We have to get out of here." But he hesitated, an indecisive flicker crossing his gaze. "Riley, he's not who you think he is." Before Evelyn could digest his words, the shadows lunged forward, swallowing David whole. "No!" she screamed, lunging after him. But the darkness was relentless, pulling him back. In that moment, Jamie screamed, tearing Evelyn from her focus. "Mom, what's happening?" He curled into her, fear written across his young face. "Stay close," she yelled, holding him tight. But the shadows kept multiplying, twisting and turning, crawling toward them like hungry serpents. The air became electric with anticipation. And then, something broke through the darkness. It was a light, brilliant and fierce, piercing through the black like a beacon. Evelyn shielded her eyes, caught between the burgeoning hope and the paralyzing terror that gripped her heart. The light expanded, illuminating everything in its path. The shadows recoiled, their grip weakening. Then, at the center of the light, a new figure emerged. It was familiar, yet she struggled to place it. "Mom?" a voice called, innocent and pure, yet tinged with something older, something deeper. She blinked hard. No, it couldn't be, but there he was, a younger version of Jamie, his features unchanged. "Mom, help! Jamie!" she cried, backing away. "What? How is this possible?" The boy smiled, but it was a grown-up smile, one that belonged to someone who had seen too much. He stepped forward, merging with the beam of light that surrounded them. In an instant, everything shifted again. Visions flashed before her, a future where Jamie grew up alongside David, a bond forged not just of love, but of a dark legacy. Evelyn felt her heart twist in disbelief. What were these images? What connections lay buried underneath this chaos? "Listen to me," the boy urged, voice strong and authoritative. "This isn't your fight. You have to let go of what you think." "You know, let go?" she echoed, confusion swirling through her. "Why should I trust you? You shouldn't even be here." "Because you're not just fighting for yourself. You're fighting for me, for the future," he replied, tension crackling in the air. "You must choose, Mom, now." Before she could respond, Riley resurfaced from the shadows, smirking with dark triumph. "Ah, family reunions. Such lovely moments, aren't they?" Her heart dropped. "What is happening?" The younger Jamie turned, eyes flashing with anger. "This is all a trap, a cycle." "What?" Evelyn felt her mind spin, the lines of reality blurring. "A cycle? What cycle?" she breathed, desperately needing answers. But before Jamie could reply, a deafening roar shattered the air, and light cracked like thunder. It pierced through the darkness, merging the timelines as if everything was about to collide. Evelyn stood at the edge of her fears, trapped between past and future, feeling the weight of the choices she had yet to make. Would she embrace the truth or let it consume her? But as the shadows surged, swallowing everything, one question thundered in her mind. Could she save her son, or was this all part of a much darker plan? The darkness rippled, the air heavy with tension. Evelyn felt trapped, her emotions coiling around her like a serpent. Jamie clung to her, wide-eyed and trembling. She had faced fear before, but this was different, layered with revelations that made her question everything. Then, out of the shadows, David emerged again, but this time he sparkled with an unearthly light, his expression intense, almost feverish. "Evelyn, Jamie," he shouted with urgency, his voice slicing through the chaos like a knife. "We have to," but a roar interrupted him, an earth-shattering crack that reverberated in her bones. The light pulsed, the shadows vibrating around them. David's essence seemed to flicker between darkness and the light, each appearing more real than the other. Riley lunged forward, his eyes wild, mouth twisted in fury. "You're just a pawn, David. They'll never let you win." "What is happening?" Evelyn screamed, her heart racing dangerously fast. Then the unexpected flicker twinkled across David's face, a smirk hidden beneath layers of intensity. "You think I care about this?" Suddenly the ground trembled again, and Evelyn stumbled, grasping Jamie tightly. Out of nowhere a blinding light erupted from the fissure in the earth, illuminating everything in a warm glow that pushed back the shadows. And then a figure stepped out of the light. Evelyn squinted, disbelief washing over her. It was David's father, but he looked different, younger, a glimmer in his eye that promised deep-rooted secrets. "Father?" David murmured, almost a whisper. "I'm here to fix this mess," he said, voice booming with authority. The crowd around them gawked, confusion etched on their faces. But then, the most shocking revelation unfolded. David's father looked not just at his sons, but at Evelyn. "You were never meant to be part of this, Evelyn. But you are, whether you like it or not." Evelyn felt the chill seep into her bones. "What do you mean?" Riley seized the moment, eyes ablaze. "Because she's the key, the missing piece. The one I needed all along." Panic choked Evelyn. "I'm not part of your game. I'm just a mother trying to protect her son." But there was more. David shook. "What does he mean, the key?" The father stepped closer, shadow stretching ominously. "You don't understand yet. Your mother, she's tied to this world more than you know." Evelyn's heart stopped. "My mother, what are you talking about?" "It's time to show you," he said. Time slowed, and suddenly, Evelyn wasn't just seeing chaos. She was seeing memories, flashes of childhood moments she thought were long buried. Pain flickered through her, family secrets, whispers at night, things hidden behind closed doors. Then, in the split second between breaths, the images shifted. "No, it can't be." The truth hit her like a punch. "You're not just his father, you're mine too." The shock pinned her in place. The ground shifted again, the shadows leaning closer, breathing her name like a curse. "You're both my sons," David's father said, triumphant. And in that declaration, something shattered within Evelyn. "No, you're lying." Riley laughed, triumphant. "You see, everything you thought you knew, it's been a lie. Your loyalty, your love, it was always part of this twisted game." Evelyn felt her world tilt, her heart thundering in her chest. The mother she'd barely known, the secret she carried, it all connected in a way she never saw coming. "No," she breathed, desperation clawing at her throat. "This can't be true." But the pressure was rising. The shadows enveloped them tighter. The world blurred. In this moment of revelation, nothing made sense. Could she trust David? Was Riley even really the enemy? Then, Jamie, still holding her hand, looked up, eyes wide with fear. "Mom, what does this mean for us?" And in that moment, with darkness swirling around them and the ground still trembling, Evelyn could only wonder. Would they escape the shadows, or would the horrifying truth consume them all? Evelyn's heart raced, each breath stinging her throat as the shadows danced around them. "What does this mean for us?" Jamie's voice trembled, his small hand gripping hers with a strength that belied his fear. The world felt like it was collapsing, and she could hardly grasp the weight of what was unfolding. David's father, the man she thought was a ghost, stood before them, imposing and smug. "You think you can outrun your destiny? You're just caught in the web I've spun," he said, a cruel smile splitting his face. Evelyn felt seconds stretch, threatening to snap under the pressure. "Stop, just stop." David shot back, anger flaring in his eyes. "You don't need to do this. You can change. Riley surged forward, eyes ablaze with betrayal. Change, after all this time? You think you can just rewrite history? Evelyn glanced at Jamie, his face pale, but determined. We need to get out of here, she whispered. But a fear-filled scream erupted from the crowd surrounding the chaos. Amidst the chaos, a wild energy crackled in the air. A fissure in the ground began to pulse, radiating dark energy like a living beast. Evelyn felt a pull, as if the very ground insisted she step closer, further into the depths of the unknown. And then, without warning, the earth began to rumble violently. It felt like an earthquake, shaking every fiber of her existence. She stumbled, instinctively shielding Jamie from the chaos above. "Mom!" Jamie cried, his voice a small lament against the roar of shifting ground. The shadows shifted, swirling faster, drawing her in. And just then, from the darkness below, an unexpected figure surged forth. A woman, tall and fierce, her hair wild and electric blue. Evelyn's breath caught as she recognized the unmistakable features. There was no denying it. It was her mother, the one who had vanished without a trace all those years ago.
What? Evelyn's voice shattered, disbelief coating her words. Mom?
The woman's eyes fixed on Evelyn with a familiar intensity, a knowing smile curling on her lips. Evelyn, darling, you've grown. It's time to wake up. Before she could respond, Riley let out an incredulous laugh.
This just gets better. You've been pulled into this mess too, haven't you?
Evelyn's mind spun. It couldn't be her mother. Not here, not now. A woman who had left her life behind.
Who had sacrificed everything. You left. You chose to disappear.
Tears brimmed in her eyes, a churning mixture of anger and hope. No, my love. I was taken from all of you. Her mother stepped closer, a fierce protectiveness radiating off her. This family has darkness buried deeper than you know. Riley sneered, his expression shifting from shock to rage. You think they can help you? They're as lost as you are. The family's secrets aren't just secrets, they're chains. Suddenly, the ground began to crack open wider, the dark energy surging forth, threatening to swallow them all whole. Evelyn clutched Jamie tight. Mom, we need to leave. What do we do? Get ready, her mother said, eyes fierce and bright. We'll end this together. But just then, with blinding speed, the shadows lashed out. A tentacle of darkness surged toward Jamie, and Evelyn instinctively threw herself in front of him. No. But as she did, she was bound in a torrent of black, the air thick with choking dread. For a moment, the shadows flickered, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. She's the key, a whisper echoed in her mind, low and haunting. She's the real legacy. And just like that, the unveiling truth struck her. Her mother had never abandoned her. She had been woven into the core of this evil, a pawn in the same game she thought she could escape. The realization shattered her, leaving her gasping. All at once, she saw the threads connecting them. Her mother, her past, her love for Jamie. It all spun in a horrifying tapestry. Mom, what did you do? The shadows howled with laughter. And in that moment of vulnerability, she felt the world spin around her. And then everything went dark. Suddenly, absolutely dark. Where were they? What new threat loomed? The question lingered heavy in the air, sealing their fates in uncertainty. The darkness closed in around them, but Evelyn's heart surged with a defiant spark. She had always been the protector, and now she knew with every fiber of her being that she couldn't let fear win. We won't let you take him, she cried, her voice cutting through the swirling void, echoing with fierce determination. Jamie clung to her side, eyes wide, trusting her even as chaos loomed. The air crackled with the clash of light and shadow, and Evelyn could taste the tension, the raw energy that suspended everything in an anticipatory stillness. Enough! The figure of her mother stepped forward, defiant and fierce. You will not control this family any longer. Evelyn's heart soared. Her mother, standing strong, a beacon of hope amidst the swirling darkness. Mom, The word escaped her lips, as if the very act of speaking was a lifeline. How do we stop this? You must embrace your lineage, Evelyn. Her mother said, urgent and calm. Everything you hold dear is tied to the power of the past and the choices we make. Trust in it. Riley scoffed, his expression filled with malice. You think you can just rewrite the
Rules? You're as naive as he is. But before he could strike, David surged forward, the wild light within him flickering stronger than before. You've underestimated us, Riley. We're not your puppets. The shadows writhed, almost recoiling from the combined force of their united spirits. Light pulsed from Evelyn's heart, radiating warmth as the fear began to dissipate. They were standing together, mother, son, and father, against the darkness that sought to tear them apart. Now, Evelyn shouted, the word infused with purpose. It's time to end this. Together, they stepped forward, the light enveloping them in a protective glow. Evelyn felt everything ignite. Love, past pain, resolve. The shadows shrieked, twisting and howling as the light consumed them, banishing the darkness inch by inch. Riley faltered for the first time, eyes wide with disbelief. What? No! With a final surge, the shadows screamed and collapsed into swirling vapor, dissolving beneath the brilliance of their combined hope. The ground steadied, the oppressive weight lifted, and they stood in a serene silence where turmoil had just reigned. Evelyn gasped, panting as the reality of their escape settled in. Is it over? She asked, glancing at her family. David stepped closer, the flickering light illuminating his face as he smiled with relief. Yes, it is. We did it. Evelyn's heart swelled. They were together, united in their strength. But beneath the comfort lay a bittersweet edge. What about Riley? His path will lead him elsewhere, David's father said quietly, a shadow falling over his expression. Some battles are not ours to fight anymore. The truth hung heavy in the air, a reminder of bonds laced with darkness. But Evelyn felt a lightness in her chest, a flicker of something beautiful after a long storm. She took Jamie's hand, squeezing it tight. Let's go home, she said softly. With the twisted legacy behind them and an uncertain future ahead, they faced the dawn together. Side by side, they stepped out of the shadows, ready to forge a new path. As they walked away, tears of relief glistened in Evelyn's eyes. Hope was fragile, yet unyielding, a testament to love's enduring strength. They had survived, together. But before the universe shifted too far from this moment, dear listeners, let's keep this incredible journey alive. You have to subscribe right now. Don't wait even one more second to share this. Smash the like button right now. Your support feeds the algorithm and allows us to bring you more exclusive stories. And flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this wild ending. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how it all wraps up. This is the moment to show your support, and only real fans understand the importance of these actions. Let's make this community even stronger.